Welcome back everyone, this is GTA Failer. In this video we are going to take a deep dive into the stats in GTA 3. So what you're looking at here is a screenshot that I took of the save file that I've been using this whole video series. We passed the final mission, the exchange, and then we deposited a bunch of secure cars in the last video. That's this save file. These stats came from that save file. Okay, so most of these will be self-explanatory, but there will be a few that I'll pause on and take a deeper dive into. So first the criminal rating up here, boss 5631. We're going to come back to that one. Percentage completed obviously is 100. Remember, we did a whole video on how the in-game percentage number is calculated. You can go check that one out, but in a nutshell, there's 154 objective points, and the game takes however many objective points you've currently earned and divides it by 154 and then rounds that percentage down to the nearest whole number. Okay, so mission attempts is 82, missions passed is 73 out of 73. The difference here between my 82 attempts and my 73 passes is 9. That means 9 mission fails. And I think that every one of those 9 mission fails was required to get a particular unique vehicle, right? Sometimes there's a vehicle that's only in a particular mission, and you have to grab that vehicle and then fail the mission and then store that vehicle. So I think that's what all 9 of those are from. Rampages passed, 20 out of 20. Hidden packages, 100 out of 100. Unique jumps, 20 out of 20. Days passed in the game, 165. So in-game timer counts 24 hours in a day, but every second in real life is a minute in the game. And so 24 hours in the game is actually 24 minutes in real life. So this is really saying 165 times 24 minutes. So I did the calculation that works out to 3,960 minutes altogether, or 66 hours of playthrough in this save file. Now that underestimates the true number of hours of footage that I collected, because anytime I failed, whether it was on purpose to show you a fail state or it was just an accident and I failed or got busted, I would reload. And then the time that I had spent there on the failed attempt doesn't count in the 66 hours that's here. So I'm not sure what my true play time is. Might be double this in terms of playing the game for this series. Okay, people you've wasted, 1,836. We'll come back to that number. People wasted by others, 317. We'll come back to that as well. Cars exploded, 468. That seems like a lot, but I'm probably guilty as charged. Times busted, none. Hospital visits, this is how many times you were wasted, none. Again, these are kind of deceptive because every time I died or was busted, I just reloaded my previous save state. So here's the next screenshot. You can see hospital visits at the top, still 0. Gang members wasted, 686. We'll come back to that, but essentially it just counts how many members of any gangs you killed. So that's the Mafia and the Triads and the Diablos and the Yardies and the Colombian Cartel, the Yakuza. Every single gang member that got killed adds up, and 686 in all. Criminals wasted is 92. We'll come back to that. Helicopters destroyed is 11. Remember, you can only destroy the helicopters with a rocket launcher. So I think that 11 counts the final helicopter in the game, which you need to destroy in order to pass the exchange, that final mission. I read in the wiki, but I didn't actually try, but I read that that particular helicopter can be destroyed with M16 ammo. I don't know if it's, like, it wasn't true for the police helicopters in the game, like in general. I tried that and it didn't work. But I'm not sure about any other helicopters. Okay, kilograms of explosive used. This is a funny way to say number of grenades tossed. So I tossed 142 grenades. Accuracy is 52%. That is the number, it's a fraction. It's the number of bullets that you shot. That's the bottom of the fraction. And the number of hits is the top of the fraction. So 52 out of every 100 bullets that I shot actually found a target. I made a whole video on this early on in the series, so go check that one out. I'll just say that there were some subtle details that I wasn't aware of in terms of what counts as a hit and what kinds of ammo don't count at all in either the top or bottom of that fraction. Okay, best Turismo time. So remember, that was a race given to us by El Burro in Hepburn Heights. So 181 seconds, just over 3 minutes. Patriot Playground. So my time there was 254 seconds. This is the first off-road mission that we did. Sorry, it's not the first one we did, but it's the first one you would typically do. It's the one that starts over at the, what's the grocery store called? So it's the one that starts at the Save over in Portland. So our time there was 254 seconds, which is not great, but remember I was trying to plus each of these things, and so I did these in a non-optimal order. I think I went backwards for this one. Okay, Ride in the Park was another off-road mission. That one's in Belleville Park with the Landstalker. 89 seconds there. Again, not a great time because I was doing funny stuff. Gripped is the first off-road mission we did, but it's typically the last one you would do. It starts over in the kind of park area in Wichita Gardens on Shoreside, and we got 271 seconds there. And finally, Multi-Story Mayhem was the off-road mission we did in the parking garage on Staunton near our safe house in a Stallion, 94 seconds there. Longest flight in a Dodo, 71 seconds, a minute 11. That's not bad for me. Best time for bomb defusal. This is from the de-ice mission called Rigged to Blow, where we had to take his car, I think it was a Cheetah, maybe it was an Infernus. We had to take his sports car and bring it all the way over to a particular garage in Portland, in St. Mark's, to get the bomb diffused, to get the bomb taken out of that car. And so the trip from picking up this car to Portland took 323 seconds. Okay, next screenshot. So again, you can see best time for bomb defusal up there at the top, so we know we're not missing any stats in between these screenshots. Cars crushed is only 2. That's how many cars you brought to the crusher and actually had crushed. Now, I feel like I crushed a lot more than 2 cars. In particular, I know that there's a couple of missions where you have to crush a car. So there was one given to us by Marty Chonks where we had to destroy one of his cars to get rid of the evidence, and we had to use the crusher, and then we had to do another one to get rid of evidence with the, there was like one of the Farrelly brothers was in the trunk. It was a Joey mission, I think. And so those two are 2 cars crushed. I know I crushed a lot more, but I guess I never saved. Like, right, I was just crushing to play around, but I always reloaded, I guess. Okay, Bling Bling Scramble. That was a phone mission on Staunton where we had 3 other racers and we were all trying to get through as many of the checkpoints first as possible. There were 15 checkpoints in all, so this is the maximum number you could have over here. It took me a couple of attempts, but we got there. Gang cars totaled. So this is now all 4 of the RC car missions. Diablo Destruction was over in Portland, and we got rid of, I was trying to just get 10, at least 10 for each of these. So it was pretty straightforward to do 11 Diablos, and then the Mafia Sentinels in St. Mark's, we got 11 of those as well. Casino Calamity, we had to take out the Yakuza Stingers. We got 11 of those over by Kenji's Casino. And then Rumpo Wrecker, oh my goodness, this one was the tough one for me to get double digits. I think it took like an hour and a half. This was by our safe house in Wichita Gardens. Whew, that was a tough one. Okay, distance traveled on foot in miles, 145. Holy cow, it's like, was that like 5 marathons? My goodness, Claude got a workout this game. Distance traveled by car in miles, 771. We'll talk a little bit about these later in this video as well. Millimeters of rainfall in 590, so it's like 60% of a meter, maybe like a foot and a half, something like that, almost 2 feet. And then the maximum insane jump distance is about 611 feet. We'll come back and talk about that too. Next screenshot. Okay, so continuing on with the insane jump stuff. Maximum insane jump height, 195 feet and change. Insane jump number of flips, 5. That's like somersaults. Insane jump rotation, 1800 degrees. So that's kind of like spinning the car, keeping it flat, level with the ground, but spinning around the axis going like vertically through the roof, 1800 degrees. And my best insane stunt so far is called a perfect double insane stunt. We'll talk about insane stunts later. Passengers dropped off, so this is from the taxi driver mission. I was hoping to get 100 in a row, but lousy shoreside prevented me from reaching my life's dream. But we did get 100, and that's all you need to get the percentage. Cash made in taxi, 361,524. That's a ton because I got like 88 in a row or 87 in a row, something like that. And there's all these multiple of 5 cash bonuses for taxi. People saved in an ambulance. Okay, so this number is much bigger than it typically would be if you're just going for 100% minimal. Because to get the percentage, you need to complete 12 levels of paramedic. That's this number right down here. And if you complete 12 levels of paramedic in one shot, your first attempt at it, and you don't rescue any other patients the rest of the game, then that will be 78 patients rescued. So in my 100% save file, this is, or my 100% playthroughs, this is always 78 because I just pass pass paramedic on my first time, and then I never pick up any other passengers. But as we plussed this experience here, we spent time doing paramedic on each of the 3 islands. So we did paramedic 3 times and rescued 78 passengers 3 times. And this 234 is exactly 78 times 3. Even though I rescued many, many more passengers than this in all of my fails on shoreside, like I failed that thing for 9 or 10 hours, I kept reloading. So that's why you only see 78 times 3. Okay, number of criminals killed on vigilante. So you got to do 20 on each island. So 60 is the minimum number to get the reward, the percentage reward. Total fires extinguished. Again, you got to put out 20 fires on each island. So 60 is again the minimum number. So why do I have this ugly 61? It's because I did 1 extra fire over on Portland. I was trying to complete the Portland import-export garage, not the crane, but the garage. And we had all the vehicles, including the Dodo, but we were missing the Blista, and I didn't know of any way to get the Blista to show up on Portland Island, but I didn't want to wait until Staunton Island officially became unlocked, because then it would be easy to just find a Blista in the wild or a fixed spawn location by the parking garage and just drive it over the repaired bridge. But I didn't want to wait that long, so I took a shot at maybe doing a little bit of firefighter and hoping that one of the vehicles on fire would be a Blista, and wouldn't you know it, the second vehicle that I found on fire was a Blista. So I ignored the first vehicle. I didn't put the first one out, but I put the Blista out. That's why it's an ugly 61 here. Daily police spending $505,408. We'll talk about that number too. Okay, so let's start talking about some of the ones that we skipped in the stats menu. The first one I want to talk about is the criminal rating, the very top statistic in the top left corner of the screen. And here, this is a Reddit posting I found from Nick007J from 2014, it looks like. Maybe more recent than that. 2016? 2016. Okay, and so Nick answered another Redditor who wanted to know how criminal rating was calculated. So Nick claims that the formula is right here. He says, assuming you've completed the game. I don't know what that means. Does that mean 100%, or does that mean that you've completed the final mission, the exchange, and gotten the credits to roll? And you fired at least 100 bullets. Here we go. You take the number of fires extinguished. You add 10 times the maximum paramedic level. You add the number of criminals killed in vigilante. You add the number of pedestrians saved in paramedic. You add 30 times the number of helicopters destroyed. You add the number of pedestrians killed by the player. You subtract 3 times the number of times you were busted. You subtract 3 times the number of times you were wasted. You add your money divided by 5,000. You take the bullets hit and divide it by the bullets total. That's just the accuracy. And you multiply that by 500. And then finally, you add the percentage completed. You divide that by 100 to get it to be a decimal. And then you multiply by 1,000 at the very end. Okay, so let's get into the weeds here. I made a little spreadsheet with my statistics. So this thing up here is exactly the formula that Nick said is the formula for your criminal rating. And so I've just listed them out here: fires extinguished, max paramedic level, all the way down to percent complete. That's the last thing in his formula. And then I filled in my numbers. So from the screenshots that you just saw of my active save file, 61 fires extinguished, maximum paramedic level is 12. My accuracy is 52%. That's the bullets hit divided by the bullet total, 52%. And percentage completed is 100. And then in here is I've got a column for the multiplier, because many of these things are multiplied by a number. So this 10 times max paramedic level, that's that 10 right there. This 30 times helicopters, that's this 30 right here. You subtract 3 times the busted. It won't matter for us because it's 0, but anyway, -3 there. And then anything that didn't have a number in the front, I just put a 1. So 1 times the number of fires extinguished just gives you the 61. And then I multiplied right over here. So 61 is the product of these two. My level 12 paramedic times the 10 multiplier from Nick's formula is 120. And you just go down and you just multiply all the way through to the end. And my total here, my criminal rating according to the formula, is 5,641. But the criminal rating in the screenshots I just showed you is 5,631, which is darn close. So like I feel like this formula is, maybe it has a small, tiny error, or maybe it's correct and I'm just misunderstanding something here. I don't think I mistyped any of these things, but it's within 10, which strikes me as being too close to be a coincidence. One thing I wondered is, like maybe this 52%, like maybe it's really like 51 point, 0.51001% or something, and it's rounding up, which doesn't sound like what the game typically does, but even there, the lowest I could get my criminal rating from the formula is 5636, still not low enough to get the 5631. So I'm not sure exactly where the 10-point difference lives, but anyway, I think that formula is close to perfect. It might be perfect, and maybe I goofed somewhere small, but that's apparently the way to calculate the something or other, the criminal rating. And then there's a listing of what your criminal rating is, and then what title you get as a result of your criminal rating. So anything over 5,000 points is the highest criminal rating, and that's boss. So if you take another look at my screenshot early in this video, you'll see that I have the word boss up there at the top. So the last website I want to show you has to do with stunting or doing stunt jumps. So I'm going to read a little bit of this here, and then we'll take a look at some gameplay footage that I recorded. So in GTA 3, triggering an insane stunt reward requires the driver to either jump a distance of 106 feet or greater, perform at least one flip, that's like a somersault kind of flip, or a rotation of at least 360 degrees. Again, that's the, car stays parallel to the ground and rotates 360 degrees around that way. So if you trigger any one of those three things on a jump, then you get an insane stunt reward. If you happen to trigger two of the thresholds, like at least 106 feet and a flip, then you get a double insane stunt, which doubles the cash reward for the jump. If you get all three things triggered, so at least 106 feet and at least one flip and at least 360 degrees rotation, then you get a triple insane stunt. And that gives you triple the money from what you would normally get. Okay, so here's the formula. We're not going to go as deep in the weeds here as we did before, but I'm going to read, where is it here? Right here. The distance traveled in the jump gets multiplied. This is to calculate the cash reward for doing an insane stunt. So the distance traveled gets multiplied by 0.6. The height you obtained gets multiplied by 4.5. Each flip adds a flat $20, and each degree spun is multiplied by 0.333. So you do all of the multiplications there, and you add some 20s maybe, and you add up all the multiplication numbers, all those products, and that gives you the amount of cash you earn for your insane stunt jump. If it happens to be a double insane stunt jump, then you double the number of cash that the formula that we just read gives you. And if you triple, if you get a triple insane stunt, then you triple the number of cash. If the jump and landing is considered perfect, that means you didn't mess up your car or damage it in any way, and you landed on your wheels, then the insane stunt will be considered a perfect insane stunt, which doubles the reward again. Lastly, any decimal on the cash reward gets removed, and the driver is rewarded the cash bonus for the insane stunt. And finally, an insane stunt cannot be triggered if the flying car cheat has been activated. So now we're going to take a look at some footage I recorded for this video. So here is going to be an insane stunt off the side of this ramp. And we're going to take a look at these numbers. It'll flash on the screen real quick. $224, 190 feet of distance, 20 feet of height, no flips, and a 60-degree rotation. Okay, so now I'm going to show you footage of me just starting a new game and having no stats. But while we do that, I'll do the calculation out loud here. You're going to have to write these down or just take my word for it. But the calculation we saw for the cash bonus on a stunt jump, you take the number of feet you traveled, that was 190 in my case. You multiply by 0.6, always that number by 0.6. Then you take the maximum height, which was 20 feet for me, and you always multiply that number by 4.5. Then you take the number of degrees you rotated, which was 60 for me, and you multiply by 0.333, and then you add $20 for each flip. I didn't have any flips. Okay, so if I multiply those three things together and then I add them all up, I get $223.98, which is darn close to $224, which is exactly what the game gave me, 224 bucks. Okay, so what am I doing in this new game? Well, I just kind of wanted a clean slate. And so one of the things I wanted to figure out was like roughly how long is a mile? Because the game keeps track of number of miles run and number of miles driven, but I have no earthly idea what that means in this cartoon world. So I drove the car from the starting location down to the bottom of this hill. Then I ran back to essentially where the car was located. It wasn't perfect, but all we're going to do is take a look at the distance run in miles and the distance driven in miles. They should be essentially the same number because I drove down and I ran back up. But just wanted to get a sense of how far that particular distance is from the game start position of the car to that first intersection there. It was 0.14 miles driven and 0.15 miles walked. So that gives you a sense of what a mile represents because that trip was 0.15 miles each way. Okay, so here in my brand new save file, I just wanted to show you that I passed the opening cutscene mission, Give Me Liberty and Luigi's Girls. And so my stats are all, essentially at 0, but I've got one mission pass and haven't done a whole heck of a lot else. So I haven't killed anybody, I guess, is what you want to take away from all those zeros, because now we're going to go on a killing spree for science. So first I'm going to kill one person. Now I don't have any weapons in this brand new game, so we're going to use the vehicle and smush somebody. So who's going to be the lucky pedestrian that gets to be a part of an important scientific result? You, sir. You win a prize. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the stats here. Again, just taking a look at the number of people killed. That's the only one we're focused on here. And people you've wasted is now 1. It used to be 0 right there. I pointed to it with the arrow. And now we're going to head over and kill some more folks. Again, lots of science happening, but I've got particular folks in mind. What I want to kill are gang members. Being in gangs is bad, folks, unless you think it's a reasonable way to express yourself, like somebody on one of those radio stations in GTA. Okay, there's a Diablo out of commission. That's my second person killed, but my first gang member killed. So I'm expecting to see a 2 and a 1. 2 people killed, 1 gang member killed. So there's the 2 people you've wasted, pointed to it with the arrow, and then gang members wasted is now 1. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a gang that's angry at you. It could be a gang you're quite friendly with at this point in the playthrough, but any member of any gang counts as both a person you've wasted and as a gang member wasted. And so I'll illustrate that by heading over to St. Mark's real quick, and we'll take out one of these Mafia members. And the nice thing for me is that this guy's going to have a gun, so I can have fun with that gun. But here he is on our left. Squish. And we'll grab the gun, and then we'll take a look at the stats. So that is now my third person wasted, and my second gang member wasted. So let's look for the numbers 3 and 2. All right, there's 3 people wasted right there, and then 2 gang members wasted. So far, the story checks out. Okay, and so we'll keep on keeping on with our experimentation here and really trying to dig deep in the science. I did have a criminal rating there of 6. I wonder if that agreed with the criminal rating formula for like the 3 people I've killed. Okay, here I wanted to get the police to run over somebody. I wanted to increase my people killed by others stats. So look behind us, and one of these guys, one of these Diablos is going to eat it. Boom. So only one of them died. The other one I think is back up on their feet. A little worse for wear, but still alive. And now we're going to take a look at the number of people killed by others, which should now be at 1. So 4 people wasted because I cut something. But anyway, people wasted by others is now, was it 1 or was it 2? I couldn't tell if it was 1 or 2. Anyway, that's how you get that statistic to increase. I also think that if people are just NPCs are just fighting on the street, or if a police officer is chasing somebody on the street and somebody dies, that's another person who is killed by others. Okay, so I just did 1 vigilante kill. I used the cheaty, like hit the escape button when they're on screen to make them get out just for the purposes of this video. So my number of people wasted went from 4 to 5. But now we have a new stat, criminals wasted. So that criminals wasted stat counts all the vigilante kills, but it's got to count other folks too, because I did exactly 60 vigilante kills and I had something like 90 criminals wasted. So I think that the game is counting some of the required in-mission kills as being criminals wasted. But I haven't gone deep into like exactly which criminals are the ones that count in that statistic. Okay, so there I did 1 kill on a rampage. And so the people I've wasted has gone from 5 to 6. The gang members wasted went from 2 to 3, but the criminals wasted is still at 1. So just being in a gang and being killed on a rampage does not count towards the criminals wasted statistic. Okay, now I'm gonna show you just like another random save file. It's an early game save file. I'll speed up the menu. We're just looking at the last thing. It's a very last statistic. It's the amount spent by the police. Daily police spending 300,000 and change. That's all we need to remember. Then I'm going to hit escape to leave this menu. Then I'm going to hit escape to come right back into this menu. So no cuts there, just escape, escape, And then we'll fast forward to the end. Again, it was $300,000 and change. And we're going to look at the final statistic here. And this time it says $414,000 and change. So the daily police spending is just a randomized figure. It doesn't have anything to do with your criminal intentions or actions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.